With it being evident that Republicans are in fact going to be repealing the Affordable Care Act as they've promised for the last 7 years, well, Bernie Sanders made a speech on the Senate floor that demonstrates exactly how you hold someone accountable. So he's holding Donald Trump accountable by using his own words against him, and he blew up a gigantic Trump tweet and literally brought it to the floor of the Senate, and he sent a very clear message to Donald Trump. And I hope that all of the Democrats in Congress pay attention to this, because this is how you hold someone accountable.
Within a couple of weeks, we are going to have a new president. Donald Trump will be inaugurated as president. And I think it is interesting that we listen to what Donald Trump said during the campaign. The Democrats hear what he had to say during the campaign, what he campaigned on, and more importantly, Republicans listen and hear what their leader had to say about these issues. And this is what Donald Trump said, and he didn't say it once in the middle of the night. He didn't say it in an interview. This was a central part of his campaign. This is what he asked millions of elderly people and working class people to vote for him on. These are the principles that Donald Trump ran and won the presidency on. On May 7th, 2015, Donald Trump tweeted, quote, "I was the first and only potential GOP candidate to state there will be no cuts to Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid." End of quote. On April 8th, 2015, Mr. Trump said, and I quote, "Every Republican wants to do a big number on Social Security." That's not Bernie Sanders talking. That is Donald Trump talking. "They want to do it on Medicare. They want to do it on Medicaid, and we can't do it. It's not fair to the people that have been paying in for years." End of quote. Not Bernie Sanders, Donald Trump, our soon-to-be president. On March 29th, 2016, Mr. Trump said, and I quote, "You know, Paul Ryan is the Republican Speaker of the House. You know, Paul wants to knock out Social Security, knock it down, way down. He wants to knock Medicare way down. And frankly, you're going to lose the election if you're going to do that. I am not going to cut it. And I'm not going to raise ages. And I'm not going to do all of the things they want to do. But they want to really cut it, and they want to cut it very substantially, the Republicans, and I'm going to do that." End of quote. What Mr. Trump said was exactly right. Here are the day. This is the day. They want to cut Social Security. They want to cut Medicare. They want to cut Medicaid. Mr. Trump was right, and millions of people voted for him on the belief that he would keep his word. Well, it seems to me that Mr. Trump right now has got to do one of two things. Number one, if all that he was talking about was campaign rhetoric, then what he was obliged to do now is to tell the American people I was lying. Yeah, I said that I would not support cuts to Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, but I was lying. It was a campaign ruse. I just said what came to my mind to get votes. I had no intention of keeping my word. And if that's what he believes, if that's what the case was, let him come forward and say that. But if that is not what the case is, if he was sincere, then I would hope that tomorrow or maybe today he could send out a tweet and tell his Republican colleagues to stop wasting their time and all of our time. And for Mr. Trump to tell the American people that he will veto any proposal that cuts Medicare, that cuts Medicaid, and that cuts Social Security. But I would hope that he could save us a whole lot of time by telling the American people that he was sincere in what he said during the campaign, that he was not lying. And if that is the case, we can end this discussion and get into the serious business of how we create a quality health care system guaranteeing health care to all people in a cost-effective way.
Now that was a powerful speech. I loved it. Now, Bernie said Trump is obligated to do one of two things: either tell the American people that what he said was just campaign rhetoric, or make a tweet and tell his Republican colleagues to stop wasting everyone's time and affirm to the American people that he will veto any cuts to Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security, as he did in fact promise during the campaign trail. This is brilliant because he's not just calling on Donald Trump to act, he's telling Donald Trump with his own words, this is what you said you're going to do. Now put your money where your mouth is and actually do it. Actually stand up for the American people. Now, a lot of people assumed that by bringing his tweet onto the Senate floor, he did it to, help his speech go viral or to be witty and humorous. But no, this visual aid was important because sometimes when you're trying to hold someone accountable, you just got to bring what they say to the public. And if you just blow it up on a big poster board and you bring it to Congress, that will be broadcasted for the world to see on C-SPAN. That's brilliant. It's absolutely a brilliant strategy that I think all Democrats need to pay attention to and emulate. And we already see Chuck Schumer doing the same thing, using Donald Trump's tweets and his own words against him. Donald Trump literally bragged about being the only Republican who vowed to not cut Medicaid and Medicare and Social Security. So if you're going to allow him to do that and allow him to get away with it, then the Democratic Party is a complete and utter failure. But what Bernie Sanders is doing here is he's really tying Donald Trump's hands by backing him into a corner. Donald Trump, he's an egomaniac, and Bernie Sanders knows this. So if Bernie Sanders reiterates to the American people what Donald Trump said during the campaign trail and basically sends a message to Trump, look, the American people is watching, they know what you promised them, and if you go against the American people and go back on your word, you're going to look like shit. Now, this is also great because it was kind of an underhanded slap to Republicans in Congress. He's basically undermining them, subverting their authority, and going right to Donald Trump, and is reminding him what he said during the campaign. And of course, Trump is entitled to go back on his promise, but if you do that, have fun explaining it to the American people. So Bernie Sanders has the right strategy, and this is exactly how you hold someone accountable. You use their own words against them, and sometimes, it takes a visual aid that might seem kind of goofy and might try to seem like he's trying to do it to be sensationalist and get a reaction and get media coverage, which it did. But I mean, it's the right strategy. You put those words that Donald Trump used right in front of the world and allow them to see it, and if Donald Trump goes back on that, there's going to be hell to pay from the American people. So Bernie Sanders is he's killing it. He's been on fire lately, and I think it's going to be very entertaining to watch him go toe-to-toe with Donald Trump because Bernie Sanders is not playing around. Bernie Sanders was screwed during the primaries, and he's not going to be screwed again, and he's certainly not going to allow the American people to be screwed over. So honestly, kudos to Bernie Sanders. He is exactly what I want to see in every single politician in the country.
Support this podcast by joining the independent progressive media revolution today at humanistreport.com.